It's Nina Lovejoy. I'm the Employment Services Program Manager here at the college and also on the ACP Success team. So if you have questions that are kind of related to career uh, issues or are uncertain about career assessments and other kinds of things, we'll talk a little bit about that. But kind of piggybacking on what Paul shared, Paul Katzen and Paul Clark, I just pulled a typical job that somebody might take after completing a certificate or degree here at MiraCosta, and kind of what the salary ranges look like, what the projected growth is, some other kinds of jobs kind of in that area. So I'm going to start with automotive, and I just pulled the most common one that you would think of, but I learned a lot from Paul Katzen that not everybody goes down that path, but I chose automotive service technician and mechanic, and just sort of tried to give you a snapshot of the kind of what the industry looks like, what the projected growth is, what you can expect with various education levels, kind of what the demand is. So that's what each of the parts of this slide will show you. So the typical salary for someone in this job title, automotive service technician mechanic, is $42,000 a year. So that's the median actually salary for mechanics. And if you look at that lower left-hand corner, there is a section that talks about how many job postings were done in the last 12 months. Thanks, Annie, for the arrow. So that number, 2,130, is the number of job postings for auto service technicians and mechanics in San Diego and Carlsbad Metro. So that's our San Diego County reach. So all over the county, 2,130. Positions for that particular job title. And I did sort of what I call the COVID gut check to see about how robust this might be within the last 6 months. And I can't pull this level of report for a 6-month period. I can just do it for a year. But I will tell you that in my ability to compare that 2,130 positions with the COVID period, which I just used the last 6 months, actually it held up better. So it's more robust in a COVID environment. So you'd expect the total to be roughly 50%. Actually, there were 1,165 automotive service technician mechanic postings done in the last 6 months. So that's more than 50% of the total, which shows that this is a fairly robust environment for this particular field. So it's a good choice for as things are uncertain. It's a fairly robust field. A little bit about kind of what education level is required and the years of experience that are required and kind of what that gets you in terms of how the postings are, what they're looking for. You'll see that 97% of the folks who are being hired in this particular area, they're looking for, they call it a high school degree, but it's not really just high school. It's actually called high school / vocational education, or it really is to say that if you get a certification. So Paul was talking a lot about certifications and how those are really important. Getting that ASE certification and other kinds of certifications are really what they're looking for this particular area. So most of these slides you'll see on the next one for design that it shows varying levels of salary for varying levels of experience in terms of education and experience. But in this case, 97% of the folks, 97% of the postings are looking for a high school or certificate type training to break in. And then the years of experience is pretty positive too. It's fairly user-friendly for entry into this particular field. So about 55% of the postings are looking for people that have 0 to 2 years experience. So it is a learn while you earn kind of a thing where maybe you're stacking your certificates and credentials, but maybe working in the field at the same time. So it's very user-friendly in terms of being able to get some certifications and some classes under your belt and be able to be employed fairly quickly. And reasonable growth within the next 10 years, about a 7.4% projected growth rate for this particular job title. So I also, just to kind of give you an idea of different kinds of jobs that might be related to this automotive service technician and mechanic position, the central part of this graph is that particular job. But as you go off in different directions, the further away you get from the circle, the less related the jobs are. But lots of things that are kind of related to that are some of the things that Paul was discussing. So maybe you're going to go into auto body, or maybe like one of our success stories, you might do detailing. Maybe it's about diesel. Maybe diesel is really interesting to you, or even going into heavy equipment. So you can see there's lots of different job titles that kind of relate to this particular job title, which shows that there's also some movement within this particular industry to give you lots of different kinds of experiences. So that's a little quick snapshot with automotive. Next, we'll do design. So I, again, chose just a very somewhat general position, a CAD designer drafter. So like Paul talked about, Paul Clark talked about, it wouldn't be uncommon to have kind of the toolbox approach of having some CAD experience and being able to go into lots of different things. So a CAD designer drafter might be in a design build kind of environment and heading toward architecture, or maybe it is more toward the building of products and kind of more toward the engineering track. But a little quick snapshot shows that in the last year, 463 positions that asked for CAD designer drafters were posted in San Diego. So not as many as on the auto mechanic side, but fairly specialized to have that experience using CAD software and kind of understanding how it works. So having some classwork under your belt helps in that regard. So I again did the check, and in the 6-month period, there were not half, but a little less than half. So about 37%, 174 positions within the last 6 months in that same job, within that same job title. So sort of, again, a COVID gut check that says maybe this isn't quite as robust as other industries, but almost all the industries that we looked at were less than half. So the job market has definitely shifted as a result of business closures and decreased demand and all kinds of things like that. But still fairly positive in terms of not being too far less than about half of the job postings that are there. Looking at the salary, and here you'll see that the salary can be based on what level of education you have. So if you have again, they call it high school or vocational training, meaning you have a certificate, an anticipated salary or median salary is $41,000 for this particular position, $41,000 a year. If you get the associate's degree, about a $10,000 bump, so up to 52.7 as the median salary. And then if you get the bachelor's degree, up to almost $76,000 per year as an anticipated salary. In terms of the postings, looking at both years of experience and education level, again, fairly friendly to folks. There are certain job titles that the band of people with 0 to 2 years experience is fairly narrow because they're looking for people that have experience. But this shows that this particular job is fairly entry-level friendly to give people the opportunity to have no or limited experience to be able to kind of break in. So about 32% allowing you with very little experience to kind of break in. And then as you have more experience, obviously, the better off you are in terms of both salary as well as availability of jobs. Education level, the same, fairly user-friendly in terms of your ability to find employment with just that certificate or degree. First certificate, about 32%, associate's degree, about 27%, and the preferred degree is a bachelor's degree, but again, that's usually a progression. So you could work your way in, work while you're finishing your education if you're working toward that bachelor's degree. And fairly positive, again, projected growth over the next 10 years, about an increase of about 8.3% for that particular CAD designer drafter job title. So I did the same thing, this slide that sort of takes that CAD designer drafter position, and then it looks at different directions that it can go. And so a lot of these were some of the things that Paul was talking about, that, maybe as a CAD designer drafter, you might take the path that takes you more toward civil engineering or architecture, or possibly if you're on the design side, maybe you're a mechanical or electrical drafter or a mechanical engineer, landscape architecture. You see a lot of the same job titles that he was talking about are kind of related positions to this CAD designer drafter. So it's a great entry level position that then you could even make decisions about which direction you want to go in terms of making structures or making things in terms of your design experience. And then just an event kind of to put on your radar for next semester. We are doing an event on the 26th of February, which is a Friday. And we have kind of connected with our colleagues not on campus to reach out to the Prop MM design build professionals. So if you've been on campus within the last couple of years and going forward for the next few years, we passed a really large bond, and there are lots of construction projects that are happening on our campuses. So we're going to have a virtual event that will allow students interested in the design build arena to network with some of the industry professionals that are working on our campuses. And they'll be available to talk about their career paths, their journeys that got them to where they are. Some of them are interested in offering internships for our students, so you'll have a chance to learn a little bit more about that. And then they'll also share and maybe share some images or walkabouts about campus construction projects that they've been involved in and are working on. So just a little bit about the Career Center and kind of how we can help you. I kind of divided this into 4 different bullets. So the first couple are, if you are undecided, if you're not sure about your major, is design a major for you, or is automotive a pathway that you're interested in? One of my colleagues, her name is Stacy Mathis. She's a career counselor, and she can help you with assessments that will help you to really kind of do some of that self-discovery work to figure out what you're good at, what you like, what are some things that get you excited. I love that Paul Katzen was talking about taking a class into some part of an investigative class that is interesting to you. That's part of the journey too, is just trying things and seeing what fits and what you like. But they also can do some assessments with you to help you learn more about yourself and maybe guide you in a direction that might help you on your career pathway. Maybe you've decided what your major is, but you're not certain about a job. They can also, the career counselors can also help with, I've picked a major, now what do I do? What kind of job can I foresee myself doing in the future? So kind of helping you to learn more about an industry, or maybe your decisions are related to responsibilities that you have in terms of meeting a certain level of income. You know, there's all kinds of processes that happen that go into your decision making, but it's important to kind of consider those types of things. And then once you're on your way, we definitely help. Our office has a lot of internships. So like we talked about with the design event, but also internships in almost any arena. We can help you to kind of work toward the steps that you need to do to prepare yourself to do an internship. And maybe you're in a situation where you've been displaced from your current job, you know, your pay the bills job through COVID or whatever other circumstances. We can help with jobs right now, jobs on campus, as well as off-campus jobs and all the preparation steps, a resume, mock interviews, other kinds of resources. So our contact information is there on this slide, and we're always happy to help and look forward to working with you.